My name is Sarojini and I started this YouTube channel posting short videos to promote the message, be kind, it matters. A friend of mine who is white and born in Canada told me last week that he had occasion to venture out into a store in a small town close to where he and his family live. He had his mask on and he was observing the social distancing guidelines in the stores and out in the parking lot. He usually does not go out to stores as his wife does most of the shopping, but he needed something for Christmas. He said he felt so very uncomfortable in the store and outside, as he could see how people were looking at him and each other with suspicion and fear, even though they were masked up. He said it was tangible, the fear and suspicions they had when walking by someone or even lining up behind someone at the cash register. He said it reminded him of when he was younger, and he was called names because his family was from Europe, and that somehow made them different. I told my friend that how he felt was how I have felt since first coming to Canada. The difference is that I became used to feeling like that after a few years in Canada, and it became an automatic reaction, that I held my head up a little higher and kept my shoulders back and my feet forward when out in public, because I had grown accustomed to being looked at suspiciously by many. This is because my skin is light brown. This video is not about racism. It is about suspicion and fear. It is something that was an undercurrent in many societies worldwide, but since the pandemic it has surfaced, and it is being stoked by many with hidden agendas. In 1967, when I was a small child, my family emigrated to Canada from the West Indies. Back then, if you can imagine, there were very few people of color. We settled in a small suburb outside of Toronto. A few months later, on my walk to the grocery store, 3 boys walked up to me making monkey sounds, and one spat in my face. People in our community wanted to sell their homes because a brown family had moved in. Kids asked us if we lived in trees and swung from branches in the place we lived before we came to Canada. The community nominated one person to knock on our door and tell my parents that they will tolerate us because we spoke English and we were clean and we kids were going to school, so that meant we were educated. In the Roman Catholic Church we attended, when the priest said turn and offer each other the sign of peace, no one reached out to our family to extend a hand. I did not understand any of this at first. I learned in church to not turn around and to not expect any kindness from anyone. I understood that people were suspicious and fearful of us because we were different in skin color. I learned over the years to keep my distance from others when I was out in the community, and eventually my awareness of the suspicions and fear from others became subtle, but it never left me. Then 9/11 happened and brown people were once again viewed openly with suspicion by many. Then that settled somewhat. Then the pandemic happened and suspicion and fear raised their heads, excited to be out in the open again. But this time there was a difference, because there were no color barriers. While there was blame assigned to one particular race for the actual virus, the suspicion and fear grew to include members of the communities in which we lived and grew within individual households as well. It didn't matter if we were brown anymore. It just became general suspicion and fear of each other. A month or so ago, we thought that we were coming to the end of the pandemic, and people were actually starting to feel hopeful. And some were actually starting to breathe a little easier when they passed each other in the street. Then we were told that another variant was on the loose, and the panic started again, and suspicion and fear laughed loudly, as they once again were given a free rein to run rampant in our societies. Kindness seems to not only have taken a back seat, I believe that it's been put in a trunk. Fear, suspicion, hatred, blame, greed, and all of the lower human emotions are on a race to overcome kindness, love, empathy, and compassion. If you can find it within yourself to be less suspicious and fearful of your fellow humans, perhaps kindness can raise her energy up and become more pervasive in our societies. That is my hope for our world. Be blessed, and please remember to be kind, as it really does matter. Please support me in this channel by liking, subscribing, and sharing the video with your friends, because you too can help spread the message. Thank you.